Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode with Roman barking on the background, as usual, of TLR here on Know Your News exclusively. I am one of your hosts, Isa, and today I am joined by my Wrestling Inc. Yellow Jackets co host. On his free time, you can find him doing rig polls on social media. He's none other than Glenn Rubenstein. Glenn, thank you so much for stepping in today for joy.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Now, well, we try to not talk wrestling here. This is all about pop culture. I couldn't think of a better person to join me than you.
Yeah, not always the most current, but definitely steeped in pop culture. The question is really, what year am I living in this week?
Well, this week and today we're gonna live on 2023. I appreciate you coming in.
Future.
I know you are a little bit crunched for time, so I'm gonna try to make it through these headlines pretty fast. I'm gonna keep it simple for you. I know you're a music guy. We're gonna talk all about the Grammys. The Grammys is where it's at this week. That's where all of the major news that I wanted to talk about are. Did you get a chance to watch?
I watched the hip hop tribute and I've seen clips online. But yeah, award shows in this modern age, I think if you're not live tweeting them, how are you staying sane?
Right. I was a little upset because I had a announcing gig and I knew that, Bad Bunny, I like him a little
Yeah.
bit. I don't know if you know about this, but I like him a little bit. I knew he was going to be performing, so I was mad. And then you guys in the group chat, Alfred was like, Bad Bunny's performing as we speak. And I was like, shut up. But all right, but before we talk about Bad Bunny, I want to talk about Madonna. That's the first
Yes.
headline that I want to open with because there has been a lot of criticism online about the way that Madonna looked. She made an appearance on the Grammys. Um, she did an accept, if I'm not mistaken, she accepted an award, and she did a speech, obviously, and people were not talking about her career. They're not talking about the tour that she's currently announcing and going on. They're talking about the way that she looked, saying that she looked unrecognizable. Have you seen the photos?
I have seen the photos. She
What are
made
your
it through
thoughts
the
on this?
she made it through the wilderness. Issa. She finally made it through.
Yes.
Uh, Look, I think Madonna has a right to do whatever she wants.
Thank you.
I think if she is happy with the way she looks, more power to her. But that being said, I don't think there's anything wrong with aging gracefully, aging being the key word, and just sort of accepting the track that nature has you on.
I mean, I agree with that, but I also feel like I'm a big Madonna girl, right? I love her. And I feel like Madonna at a time where we weren't allowed to be ourselves really really stood up and spoke out to just be you, however
Yes,
you want, however you
absolutely.
choose to be. And I feel like if this is the her that she wants to be, we should just let her be.
It's true. Express yourself, Madonna. Express yourself.
Yes. What's your favorite Madonna song?
I mean, come on, like a prayer. Like a prayer
Like
is.
a prayer is it.
I mean, it's hands down. I get into this conversation quite a lot. I think like a prayer. My number one is "Live to Tell." I think "Live to Tell" is the second best Madonna song.
That's a very surprising answer because not a lot of people mention that on like their top Madonna songs, you
Like "Live
know?
to Tell" is awesome. It is an awesome song, and I'm normally not like a power ballad guy, but I just think it's a really really good song. But I like the that era of Madonna. Yeah, God, if I had to pick three, see, this is where it gets tough.
Right.
Where it gets tough to sort of narrow it down because she has so many great songs, so many classics. But I'll tell you, I never need to hear "Material Girl" again as long as I live.
Shut up. That's on my top three. But I call myself a diva. So are you really surprised that I love Material Girl? Come on.
I'm a little older than you. I remember a time when that song was inescapable.
Yeah, I'm sure. I remember I got into it way past its time and I had a shirt that
Yeah.
said Material Girl all blingy. And my sister was like, "You are way too young to be wearing that. Like you don't know Madonna like I know Madonna." And I was like, "Please stop. I still love her." I like Material Girl. I like a prayer. The thing that I have, and I don't know if you have the same issue, is that my favorite music videos are
Mm.
different than my favorite songs. Because
Oh,
Madonna
interesting.
has some banger music
She
videos.
does.
Like Human Nature. Is that
Human
the name
Nature,
of this? Oh my god,
phenomenal.
that's one of my favorite music videos. But I don't know that it's one of my top three songs to listen to if I'm not watching the visual.
Mm. Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan, and I think it's interesting. Now I will give her credit that she keeps producing music, she keeps touring. I think though it's really tough for anyone that I think decides to have cosmetic surgery or do enhancements. I mean, they're working through their own mental reconciliation of the process. And in fairness, like you also never know how it's going to turn out. I mean, Kenny Rogers famously talked about sort of regretting getting cosmetic work done and just sort of wish that he let nature take its course. So I get that this is shocking for people, but obviously this is what makes her happy. We can talk about the efficacy of it, but ultimately what matters is that she likes what she sees when she looks in the mirror.
I could not put that better myself. My co-host and I in the past have discussed Madonna's TikTok. Have you fallen down that
I have
rabbit hole?
not. I have not. See, that would seems crazy, right? That Madonna's on TikTok.
Well, she's on TikTok and it's extreme. Like a lot of people are adding this plastic surgery to the way that she behaves on TikTok and just coming to the conclusion that she's just refusing to age because she's just posting things that might make you feel uncomfortable when you think about her age, basically.
Mm. Yeah, that's always a little tough. But granted, so Madonna being such an icon for Generation X, I think this is also indicative of Generation X having to accept that we are aging as well, and maybe we're a little too old to be doing some of these things that
Right.
the kids are doing. So it's interesting.
Yeah, but if you're an artist, Madonna, an icon, and TikTok is currently where it's at, right? That's the most successful used platform
Mhm.
daily as of right now. You know that trend changes, but as of right now, TikTok is the most used and viewed social media. You have to stay on there to stay relevant, don't you think?
Well, I mean, look at Cher as a great example. I mean, it's like Cher's Twitter feed is a lot of great human rights causes, and then her like just the things that make her angry.
I do not follow her. I need now I'm gonna
But
go I'm gonna
big
go
things
check
that
out.
big things that make her angry, but also little things, little pet peeves and annoyances. So that's the thing with social media, right? It's like you
Right.
kind of you take the good, you take the bad.
What about the world tour that she just announced? It's supposed to be like a greatest hits. Glenn, I want to go. I might do the Vegas one just so I can visit you at the same
Oh,
time.
yeah. I'm excited about that. I'm bummed this biopic isn't happening though.
I
That she was
know.
going to direct her own life story. Julie Garner from Ozark and The Americans went through this grueling casting process to get cast as Madonna, and then the movie gets put on indefinite hold.
Wait, who was gonna play her?
Julie Garner from Ozark.
Really?
Julia Garner, pardon me, Julia
Yeah,
Garner from
yeah.
Ozark. Yeah, she beat out competition. There was a huge boot camp, singing, acting. Madonna made the selection herself. Madonna was going to direct this movie, and then she put it on hold for this tour.
Well, but it still come. Maybe I'll come after. I don't
Maybe
know how long the tour is for, but I look forward to seeing that because that Madonna does have a very interesting story. The
amazing
way that
story.
she got started, moved to New York, had nothing. I can relate. So I'm excited to see that. But as a Madonna fan, I just want her to be happy. Like you said,
Yeah,
I love the way that you put it. If she's happy with what she sees in the mirror, who's it's not a problem, you know what I mean. I do like natural beauty as well, and I've seen a lot of people comparing Madonna with pictures of people that are aging naturally, like you said. And to me it's just like, leave her alone, stop bullying her.
yeah. And look, everyone that wants to criticize that, there's a photo of you out there with a bad fashion choice or life choice, or maybe both that you've made.
Yep, agreed. Speaking of having a lot of photos out there, there's somebody that is like probably the king of memes for being bored, and that is Ben Affleck. And I'm not even talking about the Grammys meme. Have you seen the meme of him standing outside with a cigarette, looking like
Yeah,
he wants to be
I
on a
think
different life?
Ben Affleck is all of us these last few years with everything he's experiencing, everything he's thinking, he's feeling. He got back together with the ex, thought this was going to solve everything. But sometimes, man, sometimes the problem is you, and you just need to work on yourself.
Well, have you seen the clips and the photos from Ben Affleck
Yeah.
attending the Grammys with his now wife Jennifer Lopez?
Yeah. It's poor Ben.
I think that Ben is a super introvert. And that's why he looks like this every time he's put in like a super public
Hmm.
situation. But if you go and watch him at a award show where he would attend with like Matt Damon back at the beginning of his career,
Well,
it's a whole different Ben. But I gotta tell you, Glenn, on my 20s, I was a social butterfly. Now,
yeah.
not so much. So maybe it's just a part of that as well.
I get it. I used to go out, do a lot of things, socialize with a lot of people, and now, yeah, staying at home is where it's at. And I think for Ben, he just looks. Yeah, I think he's all of us. He's just sort of annoyed to be out of the house, wondering, is this even a good idea? Should I be doing this?
Do you
You
think
know,
it's really that, or do you think it's J Lo?
no, no. I think it's just Ben's dealing with some Ben stuff. Plus, you're at this award show. Issa, imagine being in an event for hours and the cameras are going to be on you, and you really can't be on your phone that time when you get bored. So when you get bored, like you're thinking, can I just take it out of my pocket and just look at it for like a minute? Or is that going to be weird? You
No,
know?
J Lo's gonna slap him. Did you see the
Yeah.
video of her like kind of
Yeah.
like yelling at him right on camera?
Yeah. So I get it, man. I get it. It's tough to sit through a long thing where you can't be on your phone.
How do you feel about Bennifer?
It's tough, man. I think that again, I want Ben to be happy. I've always felt a closeness to Ben Affleck. Big fan of his since the beginning, and I think if they're finally making it work, it's actually kind of interesting, right? Because you think about the relationships you have when you're younger that sort
Right.
of burn out, and I think that there is something kind of romantic and nice about the idea of when we were younger people, we couldn't make a go of this, but now that we're older and more mature, we can get together and make this happen. I think that's actually a very nice thing. Now, that being said, everyone don't go break up with your significant other and get back together with your girlfriend from 2004. But no, it is a nice idea.
The thing of it is a lot of people speculated, and there was rumors that one of the main reasons, and back then I do think that Bennifer got way too much attention, but it
Yeah.
was during that time where celebrity chasing celebrities around was, the thing to do. But a lot of people think that the attention is what really turned Ben off from this relationship. So why would he go back to it? I don't think that J Lo is being chased around the way that she used to be chased around by paparazzi. So maybe I don't think they're getting the same amount of attention they used to back in that during that time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's good, but man, it's actually funny now in a way. How do you think Jennifer is dealing with the fact that Ben is the one that becomes these memes and he's the one everyone talks about? That's going to be an interesting twist for her.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe she made a response on some of her social medias about it because it was like blowing up everywhere, the memes about it. I think I personally want Jennifer Lopez to be happy. I think that J Lo is a hopeful romantic and she wants
Hmm.
to be in love, and I mean she has had a lot of failed relationships, but the fact that she keeps trying is exactly what shows you that she believes in love and she believes in her happily ever after. If it's Ben Affleck, you know what? You're right. I do think what's meant to be is meant to be, no matter what. It's
Well,
gonna happen, right?
perhaps, but here's what I hope we get out of this is we need a sequel to that South Park episode.
Yes, that's one of my favorite. We talked about this before. One of the best South Park episodes of all time. Top 3 for me.
Absolutely, I'm with you. So if
Oh
we
my
if we
god,
get if we get
so
a
good.
sequel to that, it will all be worth it.
We're gonna review it. Whether it's
Yeah,
on my channel
absolutely.
somewhere, we're gonna review it. Now I'm gonna,
Absolutely.
as soon as we go off the air, I'm gonna go and watch it.
So good.
Now, well, let's talk about what I want to talk about.
Yes.
Because obviously the Grammys opened up with Benito, Bad Bunny, my favorite, and he performed an all Spanish. It was a
Yes.
beautiful rendition of El Apagón y Después de la Playa. Yeah, I want. There's a lot to talk about here, but I want to get into it. Did you get a chance to see it? Did you see some clips? I mean,
I
I've been
saw some of the
retweeting
clips.
every
I
five
saw I've
minutes.
seen
So
the clip. Well, how could I avoid it when it's on your feed? No, I think what a moment for the Grammys and for Bad Bunny and for Spanish language music. Now, we've talked about that Spanish language music has finally got my wife and I in the process of learning
yeah,
Spanish. But it's for Timbiriche and Menudo and Paulina Rubio and Talia and I think for Bad Bunny, this is a major crossover moment that now this isn't the Spanish language artist recording something in English as crossover appeal. Like this
right.
is pure, this is authentic, and just what a moment to have that front and center and be one of the largest performances on the largest stage in the music industry.
And he was nominated for Album of the Year on the
Mhm.
regular Grammys. We have the Latin Grammys. Bad Bunny has killed it on the Latin Grammys. But to be a non-English album nominated for Album of the Year, Un Verano Sin Ti, which I'm going to send you a couple of songs that I think you and your
Okay.
wife will like. But Un Verano Sin Ti broke records, and for it to be nominated for album of the year is a big deal to me. It didn't win, and I can understand why. I also know there's a voting process, and I'm not sure that the people voting for who wins the Grammy are too familiar
Yeah, it's
with who Bad Bunny is, and you know what the music is. I think the numbers that Bad Bunny did with this album, and I'm not being biased, it's all over. If you search it, it was the best album of the year number wise, right?
hmm.
Weeks at number one, streams, downloads, etc. It was the best album number wise, but I don't even know who won it because I was upset that he didn't win,
I
so
think
I
it
didn't
was
look
it
up
Harry
who.
Styles because that
Of
was
course it was.
controversial.
Of course it
Yeah.
was. So there was a picture that is going viral on social media, and I want it on a T-shirt. And it's like somebody had the captions on, and the captions you have Bad Bunny singing, and it just says "speaking in non-English," singing in
I saw that.
non-English. It's my favorite thing. I really do think that it is a big deal. Now, over in the Latin community, there's a big of a back and forward because yes, it was a great representation of the Latino Hispanic community, but what Bad Bunny did was very much Caribbean. It was
Hmm.
very much Puerto Rico. I saw the performers, what they were wearing, what the girls was wearing. That's what we wear here in Puerto Rico, para bailar plena, which is a music style that's from here. He sang merengue, which is from the Dominican Republic. I guess it's being put into question the different what is a Latino and what, because there's different. And I feel like we all get categorized under you speak Spanish, Latino. You know what I mean? And it's in our cultures are also different. And I do think that this performance was more of that Latin America from the Caribbean, from the islands, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting, right? Now I've seen this digging into Spanish music and getting into bands like Soda Stereo from Argentina.
Right?
I mean you see Menudo from Puerto Rico, you see Timbiriche from Mexico. Yeah, but it is interesting though, right? Because you think about English language music, and that can come from the United Kingdom, that can come from the United States, it can come from Canada. So I understand on a language level representing it, but culturally, yeah, I mean it's very diverse, even within what people would consider, that are not as familiar or well versed, they would consider one specific culture. But that diversity, I think, is what makes it so interesting. Is the idea that music truly has no boundaries, and there are these different styles and different shades within every culture. And I think that's what makes it fun as a fan to sort of dive in. But it is interesting when you see the captioning, because
Right.
similar to what my experience has been, I will tell you, when we talked before about Menudo on ABC back in the day, I think there's great crossover appeal by offering proper captioning, proper translation. I think that's how you get people that are not native speakers of the language interested in
I,
different music and different culture.
I'm not sure you want to translate the things that Bad Bunny was saying.
Yeah,
I,
Spanish
I
people.
literally just tweeted. I literally just tweeted out the one of the lyrics of the merengue song that he was saying. He's saying, "I want to," and I translate, "I want to do you in front of the beach so the fish can smile about it." That you really want
Oh,
that?
we've come a long way since Menudo wanted to dance to reggae. Um, but no, look, yes, Spanish language hip hop. I discovered SFDK from Spain the other night, Senores en el brunch, and I was looking at the lyric translations. I was like, oh no, oh no, like it was like this sounded so pleasant and uplifting, and then it was just like, nope.
Yeah, I translate. Sometimes people ask me, and I'll translate a couple of the things that Bad Bunny said, and they'll be like, "Oh, Bad Bunny has a very big female fan base." I do think that Bad Bunny knows that and understands that. A lot of his lyrics are, to me, I think girls get it more than guys, especially this new album. Un
Hmm.
Verano Sin Ti. This album was very romantic. It wasn't his normal hip hop cocky stuff that he did before. Reggaeton is what we call it here. It was more of a you can play this album, and the way he described it, fun fact, is like he wants you to play it like if you were partying at the beach and then you get drunk, and that's how the album keeps getting. Like it gets softer, it gets a little more quieter, you know what I mean? It starts like we're gonna party, and by the end of it slows it down a little bit. um yeah, I think this album, when I listen to it, I just all I can think about is Puerto Rico. The set that he brought, you saw it in the stage with the palm trees and the lights. I saw it, and if you would have not shown me the public and there wasn't the noise of the people like in the background, I would have thought he filmed that somewhere in here, partying in one of the corners here in the island.
And I think you can really chalk a lot of it up to things don't always translate literally.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, remember we were talking about the lyrics to Menudo's Fuego, and it's like, "You will drink the water of my soul."
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's exactly how they meant it, but sometimes in translation it gets a little mixed up.
I feel very proud. Obviously, I live in Puerto Rico. I was born and raised here. I love seeing what he's doing because Puerto Rico is 100 miles by 35. We're tiny. Not a lot of people know about us. And to have the representation that he has out there, putting our culture, the dancers, and the people that came out in the crowd with the big heads, all of the heads represented a Spanish legend, Roberto Clemente.
Yeah,
Like, if you paid attention, everything was a Puerto Rican legend. Also with the merengue, which is from the Dominican Republic. I just really, really love and appreciate seeing that represented in a global scale.
absolutely.
I think that he's one of the biggest that have been able to put Puerto Rico on the map in a long, long time. We have had some people go mainstream, but I just don't think that I can recall, and you are an expert at this, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I can't recall anybody from here, artist wise, going as viral and as global as Bad Bunny has.
Well, but it's a little different though, because I mean, Ricky Martin really had to, I mean, make
Sing in
English versions
English.
of Sing in English.
That's the thing. Bad Bunny said from the beginning, from
Yeah.
when he was here bagging groceries, rapping on SoundCloud,
Mhm.
that he will never change who he is
Yeah.
or sing in a different language just to make it there. And I think that's what is the appeal for us to see him accomplish what he's accomplishing, being who he is, being open about being from here, being kissing guys on the MTV Awards. Like, this
Yeah.
guy is doing it all right now.
Yeah, Ricky had to change up some things.
A lot of things.
We were watching some of the early '90s, the telenovela he did with Sasha Sokol from Timbirici, and it's amazing with it because you look at it and you're just like, if you just get a haircut, man, it's gonna change your life.
He
You just
changed
cut
that.
the
Yeah,
long hair.
I was just gonna bring that up. Ricky even changed his look. He cut the long hair. He cut even the music that he made prior
Yeah.
to that was just a little bit different. I did like what he did, and a lot of the songs that he did in English, like "Living La Vida Loca," "Shake Your Bum Bum," the first one that kind of went viral. He did them in Spanish as well.
Yeah,
But he
absolutely.
had to change a couple of things. I think especially reggaeton, is like rap, hip hop. It's very underground here. So that doesn't go viral. Ricky Martin was not singing that kind of music. I think Daddy Yankee accomplished that for a period of
Oh yeah.
time. But no, I don't think he was as big as I just don't know that you have to have heard about Bunny one way or another at this point.
It's interesting though because I think that with Bad Bunny, he's so authentic
Hmm.
and doing things, his way. He's not trying to cross over. And I think that when Ricky and other artists tried to cross over before, it also pigeonholes them into, oh, this. Remember, they would talk about this 20, 25 years ago, like this is, the Spanish invasion of,
Yeah,
like they would treat it like it's this other. Whereas I think Bad Bunny is just doing this on his own terms
right.
and he's not crossing over to us. We're crossing over to him.
Oh, I love that. I'm quoting that. Do you think that the generation and the era that we live on is really what has helped him as well because of the social
Yeah.
media? I think Bad Bunny went crazy viral on TikTok before people started really finding out who he was. People were using obviously his sound bites and everything.
Yeah.
Do you think that having social media and the way that we're consuming media nowadays, music being so different, has really helped make this happen for him?
Absolutely, because I think one, there's no barrier. There's no record company saying you have to dress like this or sing songs about this or do your songs in English. So I think that it is more direct, and I think yeah, just that lack of a barrier, makes it more
Yeah.
easily accessible.
I love that you brought that up because on two of the reports that I pulled up to talk about this, a lot of people were criticizing what he wore for the performance, saying that it looked like he was still in rehearsals because he just wore the jeans, the white t-shirt, and the baseball cap. I think that's what you see everywhere around here when you go to one of those hole in the wall bars in front of the beach. So I know what look he was going for, but what do you think about that? Do you think he should be coming off as a big star, or do you like the authenticity?
I think authenticity is good. That being said, I mean, look, if it were me and I was going to
Mhm.
perform at the Grammys, like, but then again, see, because it was like if me before the Grammys, I'd go all out and people could talk about you in a good way or they could talk about you in a bad way when you do that. So maybe
Right.
maybe playing it safe wasn't such a bad idea.
But that's the thing. I remember when he was doing the wrestling thing, right?
Yeah.
And I will send some of my friends that don't watch wrestling but adore Bad Bunny. I will send some of the clips, and a lot of them will reply and say the one thing that I love is that Bad Bunny's out there looking homeless, like he always does. Like that's just that's just who he is. You know, he will come out with Damian Priest, and a lot of times I feel like Priest was more dressed up than Bad Bunny. He was just showing up in his sneaker, jeans, and t-shirt. You know, so I just feel like it is who he is, but given the performance. And if you go here and you spend a Sunday at the beach and then afterwards you're gonna go to one of the bars, that's how people dress.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I
You
think
know?
people are talking about his performance, and that's with any award show. That's what matters, that you're performing, and they're not talking about it in a bad way. They're not saying he worships
Right.
Satan, like
Oh
other.
God, that's another news. Do you see that?
Which is funny because it's like, talk about like that's antiquated at this point. That makes me feel like an old man, where it's like, when I was a kid, they thought every rock act was promoting Satan.
Remember that when they were blaming Marilyn Manson for everything? That
Yeah.
too.
Well, even
That's when I
before
was
that.
in high school. Like
Yeah.
everybody, if something went wrong, it's because they
Well,
listened to Marilyn
I
Manson.
think we learned we can blame Marilyn Manson for a lot of things,
I mean,
apparently.
yeah,
But
he actually ended up being the person that we thought he
yeah,
was.
like not,
But
not yeah.
I love it. I love the crossover appeal. I have shared with you and with some of my viewers that I learned how to curse in English because of Eminem. So
Yeah.
I like the idea of the thing that really fascinates me is that he speaks in our slang language. There's a lot of
Mhm.
things about Bunny says that you only hear here. And that's the whole,
Mm.
you know how you were talking about the different dialects, even though it's all in Spanish.
Yeah.
To hear people from all over the world, especially Latin America. I have my best friends from Argentina. You brought that up. We speak complete different dialects. A lot of times we don't even understand each other speaking Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And to hear people from that side just saying the words that we use here, I think it's wonderful. But it's also it's also funny because we use certain words that mean something else somewhere else. So I think it can also be confusing.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think, but I think it's good. I think it's good that he's expanding the minds of
Do you
music
think
fans.
do you think that award shows are getting bigger, or do you think
Hmm.
less people care at this point?
So I think strangely it's both. I think that less
Me
people
too.
care, but in this day and age, we all need something to talk about, and on social media, something that is a live event, that being part of the moment, like being part of the moment has more of an extra yeah, it's got an extra sort of urgency about it, and there are fewer and fewer things. I mean, you'll have the Super Bowl, people want to live tweet. You have the Academy Awards, people want to live tweet and
The
talk about. So the
Grammys,
Grammys, and I think the 50th hip hop tribute brought in a lot of eyeballs
right?
that and ears that wouldn't have watched otherwise. So I think this was an interesting night, perhaps for some people that were not as current on music, to get acquainted with the current music landscape.
Before I close it for
Yeah,
the day, I wanted to ask you about the hip hop tribute. I know you watched it. I know you're a big fan of hip hop music,
yeah.
especially the old school kind of hip hop music. What do you think of it?
I thought it was really well done. The challenge with these things is that you think immediately of a dozen names
Right.
they could have included, or references, or it's like, I love that Busta Rhymes was out there, but oh man, I wish he would have dropped his verse from Scenario. I mean, you can Monday morning quarterback this, a million different ways, but let's not lose sight of the headline, which is like hip hop is turning 50 years old
That's
this
crazy.
year, and this was a celebration of the genre as a whole. And I think they did an amazing job of pulling together talent, of having a diverse set of eras represented, different talents, different styles, and I just think what a triumphant moment for the genre as a whole.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm a big fan of rap and hip hop. More newer stuff because I growing up here, I wasn't exposed to it. I learned to love hip hop once I moved to the States.
Hmm.
Um I remember that Super Bowl halftime show with
That was
freaking Dr.
amazing.
Dre,
Yeah.
Eminem, like 50 Cent. I was like, it felt like such a big deal for a genre of music that some people just don't approve of it. And I'm like, come on, hip hop is cool.
Well, and that's, I mean, as in that performance, I mean, there were maybe three or four newer, but it was very lean.
Yeah.
That leaned very heavily on the year 2000 and
Yeah.
before. So it would be interesting to whoever was watching that and being like, oh, this isn't enough old school. I mean, like, it was pretty well represented.
It was.
You know?
And before I end, we and Joey usually talk about shows that we are watching.
Oh,
I have no life, so I haven't watched anything this week outside of the challenge and wrestling. So I'll throw it to you. Is there a TV show that you are watching, whether it's on a stream service, any new movies that you watched this week that we should check out?
New Quantum Leap this week.
Okay.
Fantastic story about trans rights. Really, really good episode. Really powerful. Uh, Enjoyed that greatly. Aside from that, there's not as much lately that we're really digging on a weekly basis where it's like must watch. Oh, Poker Face on Peacock
I was
with
going to
Natasha
ask you
Leone.
about it. The preview yesterday, I think it worked. I think I saw it so many times on Raw that I was like, why does this show look good? Do I need to check it
So
out?
good. It's just
You've
so
been watching
old
it?
school. It's so old school. It feels like a late 70s, early 80s show where someone's on the road and they're dealing with a different mystery each week, a different situation. And it's just very well done. Can't say enough good things about it. It's very, very enjoyable.
And
And
that one is on Peacock,
on
correct?
Peacock. Yeah, and I'm looking forward.
Okay.
In 3 weeks, Party Down comes back on Stars. One of the great short-lived comedies ever. It's been off the air for 13 years now, but we're gonna have Adam Scott, Ken Marino, Jane Lynch, Ryan Hansen, Martin Starr, Megan Mullally. They're all back for a short season, and then next month, Yellow Jackets and Succession come back at the end of March.
Yellow Jackets is where it's at, and you guys can find us on Yellow Jackets Bus, where we just dissect every episode of Yellow Jackets.
Every
I'm
episode.
telling you, I'm so excited and I'm so looking forward to it. It's so good. If you guys haven't seen the first season, watch it. You have a month to get caught up. It's only 10 episodes. It's an easy watch.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, thanks for having me today.
Now, Glenn, I would like to thank you for being here on TLR talking all about the Grammys. And hopefully, Joey feels better next week. And I will see you guys back next Tuesday at 3 p.m. with more pop culture news. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you. Bye.
Adios.